Packing a Punch in Paper Trading by Harry. Meet Punch. He's the new intern at Stallion Impex, a paper trading company, and also the son of the CEO. The company, as old as Punch, now wanted to enter into some new paper products. The senior managers laughed, looking at Punch's audacity. But within a month, Punch painted them a picture of the entire industry. He bedazzled them with APIs, web scraps, cron tabs. He finally showed them two products, untearable paper and burnable paper. This was too easy for Dr. Steelman's student. But then he secretly laughed to himself. He had pulled a punch. What could it be? So the system architecture which was used for designing this prototype was basically the heart of that is a dolphin jumping on top of a penguin. MySQL on Linux box. How cute is that? So the data comes in via import and export data from the US Census Bureau and online news from a news aggregator. This comes using APIs and web scraping, and there's also a user entry which is using Flask. The data is outputted using a dynamic API where a user can specify a specific HS code for which he wants the data. And this data is fed into application layer with Tableau, and the end user can do analytics on that. The news, which is aggregated through web scraping, comes out through a static API, which is read out as a JSON. Punch begins his journey for the search of data at the United States Census Bureau. Here he finds APIs for monthly and US exports and imports. This is also by harmonized code, by state, and various different ways by which you can get the data. Now this data, how it is to be used is documented in a documentation from which we find the various endpoints we need to use. And then we go back to the site to get understanding about the various variables and what they actually mean. Now once these data is captured, then using a regular API, we then went to did a web crawler for getting the news information. So the news information, this is the website which is used, which kind of aggregates various news articles about what is happening in the world of paper industry as well as in international trade. And this data, once it's captured, this is captured every week, and it's also released by a static API every week in a JSON format. And this is how the JSON looks like. Then the data import, other than these two channels, we're also allowing a user input for direct entry of data. And this is where Punch decides to have some fun. So here we have the Linux box running. Yeah, it's running for import entry. Now we can enter the HS code. Here's where he enters this data for unburnable paper. And let's say we give some information for March of 2019. And let's enter a huge figure, right? 9999999. Let's see the fun. So this is now the new JSON which is generated after this entry has been added. We can see that this entry has been added right at the bottom. There we see the huge entry for unburnable paper. And we can also have a dynamic API call for exports by using the HS code. So if the customer enters a specific HS code, then he will get the JSON corresponding to that. And all this information is stored in phpMyAdmin MySQL database. So this we see is the import data. We have the export data stored here, and we have the trade news, which is the web scrape data. So this data gets updated every week because this runs on a loop in cron tab. So now what do we do with this information? So we connected this database to Tableau, and in Tableau we first see the usual suspects, right? The coated paper and board, which is basically what is used for making the boxes, like the white boxes which you see, as well as the art papers and the photographs are all come under this category. And followed by the writing paper, the uncoated wood free. This is what is used in all the notebooks. And lastly, we have the newsprints. These are the three major categories. Now, this is what we got from the APIs. Now, these two were entered with user input. This is the untearable paper, which is a real product. And then this is the unburnable paper, which is Punch's imagination. Now, in fact, now with this new entry, let's see how big this category becomes. Refresh this and there you have. Now it looks like there's a lot of import of unburnable paper happening, but it's basically just a mischief of data entry. So in future, this is the kind of dashboard which I aim to create. This is the dashboard of Mr. Punch Steelman. And so from the data from US Census, we could get how much cargo is on hold, how many containers have landed, how many new HS codes have been registered, which could be an indication of the new products, the news articles which are not yet been read by Punch, and the forum discussions and tweets. We also have graphs for exports and imports, which could be monthly, daily, or yearly level, and the paper category growth, the newsprint, wood free, and specialty, how much it's growing, and who are the top consumers. So the learnings from this class have been for this project specifically was how every site is very different in data aggregation. For example, the US Census Bureau claims to provide JSON, but it's actually a simple array. And in web scraping, the same class could be used for multiple purposes, and we have to be very careful and understand the HTML and CSS structure before doing the scrap. There's nothing more frustrating than a software bug, and there's nothing more energizing than a bug fix. So it has been a real rollercoaster journey. And there's a lot of ethics involved in technology, since data manipulation is very easy. Thank you, everyone. I loved studying with you all. Have a great life.